Welcome back to the 2218's Attitude for Gratitude weekly live show. I would say podcast, but a podcast is a pre-recorded show. People keep trying to tell me like, hey, you call yourself a podcast, but it's live, so you're just doing a show. So welcome back to the show, guys and gals and everyone else. We're coming to you live from 2218 tonight, as we are every week. And what I want to tell anyone listening right now, or anyone who hops on, is that if you are struggling tonight, or at all, please reach out. I put my number down. You can utilize that number via text, call me, utilize the message thread in here, get to a meeting, or get to the doctor, or fight for yourself. What I'm saying is you're worth the fight. So if you're struggling, please reach out. That's all I ask is you've heard me talk to almost over 200 guests now in the last 2+ years. And we talk about recovery. We talk about this new way of living and this happiness and this happy, joyous, and free. But it wasn't overnight. And a lot of that involved reaching out and fellowship and making connections. So all I ask you is to please reach out if you're struggling. And I will remind you of that throughout the show. But here at 2218, we do have a vision statement, and that vision statement goes like this. It's to be the premier Alano clubhouse serving the community by offering support, strength, and hope to those seeking recovery and their families. We do have some core values of recovery, wellness, inclusiveness, and innovation. Also, with the club, with 2218, and with the board that we have here, there's been some really huge things going on, and I won't spend a ton of time on it, but I will definitely share with you guys some of the things that are happening. And one thing that I want you all to know is that the Ride for Recovery is an all go. It is 100% on. It's going to be a blast. We had Dan J on a few weeks ago confirming this. So I've been just kind of waiting to make sure before I put my foot in my mouth on it, because there was some hiccups with the volunteer board and whatever the case is. It really doesn't matter. What really matters is it is an all go. So that's going to be some awesome stuff happening June 24th here at the club. It's an all-day event. Wristbands are $20 in advance, $25 at the day of. And there's still plenty of opportunities to come volunteer some time or do some donations or help out. But it's going to be a blast. We're taking what we had and we're going to just basically blow up from there and grow on from that. We've got music. It's going to be a blast. We got the barbecuing, the music, the games, the sponsors out there, the silent auction, the ride. It's not going to be the ride like I was talking about when we were first talking about the ride, but this is going to be a little more closer to home, and it's going to be a little less distance. I don't think it's going to be like last year. I think it turned into like, I don't know, 4 hours or something, but we did run into weather. But this year I think it's going to be like somewhere around an hour of a ride, but it's going to be a blast. And always, like I try to tell you, is I own motorcycles and I don't go on the ride because I'm doing the podcast from the show that day. But what I'm getting at is you don't have to have a motorcycle to partake in the day. The day is just called Ride for Recovery, but it's like a carnival day. It's a recovery day. So everyone, it's family friendly. It's a blast. So come check that out. I will keep talking about that until the day of the event. Also, on that same note about me telling you that 2218 has been growing, and like just in this last few months, a lot of meetings are back in the building, and I was told, which makes me feel good about this show, more so than normal, is that there was a meeting started out of me advertising that, you know, they're working with people on the rates and that prices have changed. So this is all some really good news that all these new meetings are back. We have adult children of alcoholics. This meeting, ACA, has come to 2218. This is on Wednesday nights at 6:30 in room 23. It will be a book study. All are welcome. This is awesome. Like, adult children of alcoholics. Like, come check it out. It's just cool. Like, it warms my heart to know that all these meetings have gotten back in the building. We got Al-Anon back in the building. Al-Anon is on Thursday nights in room 23 at 7 p.m. Al-Anon. Come check it out. Like, awesome sauce. CMA is back in the building. Meeting called Mathematics of Recovery, Sunday night, 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. in room 21. Come check that out. I'll probably talk about these right before the show's over again too. So if you have any questions, you can reach out to me directly. Like I said, I put my number down there. Utilize it, please. And any questions about these things, please let me know. Also, we have the Friends of Dorothy meeting, which does start at 8 o'clock on Fridays. And this is bear with me, LBGQT plus and sensory friendly. So this is a meeting that welcomes anyone and everyone. So if you feel out of place at the meeting you've been going to or whatever the case is, or you know someone who's looking for a meeting that they are not feeling comfortable at, tell them to come give that a try. What's cool about that too is they are holding the dance. I believe it's this month. It's the Forever Proud dance. It's the LBGQT plus hosted event 9 p.m. Check this out. This is an event from 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. There's a drag show. From 10 p.m. till 12 a.m. there's a dance. The date is Saturday, June 3rd. The time is 9 p.m. to midnight. $5 at the door. No addict turned away. Love is love. No drugs or alcohol allowed on the premise. That's awesome sauce. I'm going to have on the 9th of next month, I think we're going to do like a rotating show of like 6 to 10 of the members of this Friends of Dorothy are come on the podcast just to explain it to me, because I'm going to let everyone know who's listening. It's like, I'm ignorant to this stuff. Like, I'm some old guy who just doesn't get it or understand it or is in the know. And I don't want to disrespect anyone. Like, I believe everyone who wants some recovery should feel welcome to come get some recovery. And I don't understand like the issues a lot of people run into with trying to find some recovery where they can feel comfortable at. And this is just another facet that they're trying to have to be able to get their recovery. And like I said, so I don't torture it. I've got them coming on the show to explain exactly what it is. Because when they told me it's sensory friendly, I'm like, what the heck does that even mean? And they tried to explain it. And I was like, you know what? Let's just get you on the show to explain it. So that was a pretty long intro to a meeting. We also have the recovery yoga here on Monday nights at 5 p.m. That's pretty dope. Like, I was sharing about this when I first heard about it. My girl pays, I think, like $160 a month to go to some place called like Yoga Core or Core Yoga. And yeah, it's unlimited. She can go every night of the week, but this is a suggested $10 donation. This is a beginner yoga class to meet the needs of people in recovery for addiction and alcoholism. Relaxation, meditation, and self-awareness are the main components of this class. All supplies are provided and are welcome. So, like, come check that out. Yoga, 5 o'clock on Mondays. Get down here and check out some yoga. And then we've got bike night. This is like they used to do first Thursdays, like down at Delano's. Same difference. This is first Wednesdays of every month here at 2218. They block up the parking lot, and it's all the bikes can come park in there, and we do a barbecue. It's a blast. Like the first month when we had it this month, like it was a good turnout. It was the first of its kind, or it was the first of the event that we're doing it. So this the first Wednesday of next month will be the second time, and come on down and check it out. And again, you don't have to own a motorcycle to come to bike night. Like, just come on down and do some fellowship and keg it and eat some barbecue. All right, I think that's enough advertising. Holy crap. Also, every single day there's an NA meeting here at this club. Every single day there's AA meetings at this club. Like I said, we have Al-Anon now in the building. We have Adults of Alcoholics in the building. We've got CMAs back in the building. Like, there's a lot of things popping off here. So come check it out. If you have questions about anything I just shared about or whatever, get at me on my telephone. I put my number down. You utilize it. Here's the thing about the show. We say it is interactive, which means, unfortunately, if you're on YouTube, I will get your messages, and I'm not 100% sure if you get mine when I respond, but I do know if you're on Facebook listening, I will get messages. I say it's interactive because if there's something that my guests are talking about and you want them to elaborate, or you have some more questions for them, or there's some direction you want me to start taking the show, and all you have to do is put it up on the message board and I will address it. Or if you don't want your name or you want it to keep your autonomy or anonymity, you can message me directly. So, yeah, I know, autonomy, whatever. So, I'm figuring it out. I'm not quite the wordsmith I once was. So, yeah, if you have any suggestions for the show, you can directly message me or you can put it on the message board. Other than that, one more time, if you're struggling, if you're hurting, if you're feeling like there's some harm you want to do to yourself or anything like I'm talking about, you're feeling down, depressed, whatever the case is, listen to this show. Like, you'll hear two people sharing about a story of some recovery and how they made it through and how they're still making it through and finding some happiness. We talk about it every week. All I beg of you is to reach out if you're struggling. Utilize the phone number I put up, utilize their story, or share your story. And if you want to be on the show, get at me. If there's someone you want to hear on the show, get at me. If there's something you want to see happen, get at me. All right? So now, let's get this show started. All right. So, you guys don't hear my sound effects, do you? If you're on that,
I love sound effects.
did you hear the echo?
Yeah.
You did hear that echo?
I did hear that echo.
Oh, I was told that your microphones or your headphones didn't hear it. So, yes.
Yep.
All right. But this you guys hear, that's your audience. That's your guys' audience. Or don't tell a bad joke or you'll get a... Or...
Very good at bad jokes.
All right, enough said. Who do I got sitting to my left?
I am Jamal.
Get right up on that mic.
I am Jamal.
You can pull the mic right to you.
Jamal Kling, actually.
Welcome, Jamal. Who are you?
I'm Elyse.
Elyse. Welcome, you guys. I appreciate you guys taking some time to come on the show and getting a little vulnerable, and let's get after it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you guys to share your experience, strength, and hope. You can take 2 minutes to do it. You can take 2 hours to do it. We're on no time schedule. So whoever, I'm going to leave it up to you guys. Who wants to go first? Rock, paper, scissors. Nope, rock, paper, scissors.
Nope,
do it.
She passed it.
All right, Jamal, kick it off. And like I said, whatever you're comfortable with sharing, however long, just a synopsis, whatever. I'll try my best not to interrupt and ask questions, but take it away.
All right. Well, let's get this kicked off, I guess.
Are you good on your headphones?
Yeah, I can hear.
All right.
Can you hear me? Am I coming in good? A little scratchy
The
voice
closer
here.
to the mic you get, the better.
So, for me, I would guess we're going to just touch briefly on some history. Just some key points that kind of factored into everything that's going on now in my life. My first childhood memory is traumatic and trauma with sexual abuse from the age of 3 until I was 12.
Age of 3?
Age of 3
Okay.
up until I was 12 years old.
Okay.
That decision at 12 was, that's when I guess my first spiritual awakening really came in. Realizing that, my thoughts and feelings towards what was going on and thinking of this towards my little brother, of implementing the same things that were doing to me. And I knew in that moment that God had come down and said, no, there's something wrong with this scenario. And that's when I first started realizing that, there's something here. So that turned into a lot of anger, a lot of protection over my younger brother.
Quick
as
question.
well as,
and I hate breaking it. You said, I just want to confirm, already someone asked, you said that you dealt with some sexual abuse?
yeah, I was
From a
sexually assaulted and
Okay.
sexually abused and molested from age 3 until I was 12 years old by a older gentleman, about maybe in his 16, 17,
Okay.
something like that.
And you had a little brother that you're worried about protecting.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to cut you. Go ahead. Sorry.
So, that being said, 12 years old, having this and having a realization that, all this stuff that's been going on it's no bueno, no good. Moving forward, I started, of course, getting into dating women, having sex with women, not to say that, my sexual experiences were basically how I explained it was like I was looking for a John on the block, walking and talking this lifestyle of decision making from a little child's perspective. Mm-hmm. So moving forward, every time I've had difficulties in my life, it was all traumatic responses. Not checking into it, knowing that a lot of things were going on in this period. When I turned 12, I moved out of grew up in the cities, moved to Cambridge, Minnesota when I was about 9. 8 or 9, my father went to prison for 31 years for murder. So I'm put into the role around this, period, like this sexual abuse going on, and then now I have to be the man of the house, also like a father to my brother, as well as like,
How old are you now?
I'm 40 years old.
Okay.
No way.
Amazingly, yes.
I know, I didn't
Right?
put him a day with 25.
Yeah, 40 years old, so I have a few 24 hours of experience on, the life and the aspect of recovery. That's where we're going to get to. But that being said, 12 years old, started dating, messing around with girls. My mom's boyfriend's older daughter was about 16. Started sleeping with her, moved to Faribault. At that time, I was like, I never seen myself as looking good or handsome or anything like that. I had a lot of body shaming, a lot of, just not checking into like Jermale, because there's like all this ugliness that's been going on inside of me, just protruding out because, just a lot of trauma.
We say from an age of 12, but this has been going on since you can remember.
Yeah, but this is when I'm like kind of checking into like a lot of stuff that was happening in this period. Like, moved to Faribault, and my mom's boyfriend or daughter would like make me hook up with her friends and sleep with them, and I'd be like, no, I don't like doing these sexual things, but I couldn't understand why it was so uncomfortable because, and
This is at 12.
this is at 12.
Okay.
12 until, my 20s, I just pretty much viewed this, there's only 2 forms of emotions that I understood. Mm-hmm. That was pleasure to others and pleasure for self. So, come to drugs. 12 years old, comes my first drink, my first weed, 13 years old. I'm gotten so much trouble. I've dabbled into the realm of cocaine, hallucinogens, and criminal thinking and behavior. So it was a lot of these.
All started at 12.
All started at 12. Just a big old fuckery.
Right.
So, got in a lot of trouble within a year. I was on probation first time, and I got in trouble so much that my mom gave me up to the state of South Dakota and sent me to military school. So she gave up her parental rights, signed me over to South Dakota. They took me as a ward to the state, South Dakota. I went to military school for a year. Convinced my probation officer that I was good, even though I got in some trouble in there and had to go back a level. Ended up getting out, going back to Faribault for a short period. That's when I started getting into methamphetamines.
And this was teenage, younger, early.
This is 14,
14,
13,
okay.
14 years old, just
Shit,
on the cusp.
lots has happened since 12 years old.
On the cusp.
Right.
So, that's when I got into methamphetamines. At that time, it was actually like, biker dope, crank, a lot of coke. So it wasn't just like a lot of partying, going on. Okay, I moved to Faribault, so it's like a rural area down south Minnesota, just a lot of no good places, especially if you're out there for like 20 something years in the shit. And so, come 15 years old, I had my first experience with crack cocaine. It wasn't really that much of an experience until a year later when my mom's boyfriend introduced me to it. For the next almost 10 years, I was addicted to crack cocaine, where I used for about 9 years with my mother and her boyfriend.
Repeat that last sentence again.
For about 9 years, I used crack cocaine consistently daily with my mother and her boyfriend.
Your mom and boyfriend.
Yeah.
Real quick, both of you, I just want to, I'm not sure if you guys listen to the show that much, but we have a lot of listeners that aren't in recovery, a lot of listeners that are on the fence about getting in recovery. So I'm going to ask some questions that you guys tell us and be like, what the fuck, of course. Or why, like, bear with me, okay? It's for the benefit of listeners. So I forgot. I mean, if you was here earlier, you didn't know. No, I didn't go over it with you either. So sorry, just with some of the corny ass questions I asked. But so 9 years of this craziness. Yeah, sorry.
9 years of this craziness, and then I got into a dual addiction of methamphetamines on a consistent basis with crack cocaine. Till I went to prison. I also met my wife around my 20s. That's when things came full circle to this is the first woman that actually didn't want me to use me and actually wanted to get to know me and be there with me, like a good woman. And yeah, I was didn't know how to respond to that. When mostly my experiences were like just submissive, do what you're told. A lot of things happened between me and my first wife, and it turned into me being aggressive, violent, and abusive. And that lasted for about 15 years. 15-year relationship, 5 years of it, I was a crackhead and a meth head and just rampant crazy with my criminal activity. 2006, I went to prison for my first time. I took a plea deal for 4 felonies. They dismissed about 24 misdemeanors, gross misdemeanors, and felony combinations. So I had racked up a lot of trouble in a lot of short period of time, within like a 2-year period from after I turned 18. I was on probation all the way up until I was like 17, and then I got back on when I was 19, and so it just a full cycle,
Right.
Never went to treatment, never thought that anything of it. I got married, I went through this relationship, had 4 kids. Most of my kids are grown, in their 20s. I have a 14-year-old son.
So like real quick, coming up to this point, like let's go into prison, or did you think, like honest, like being able to look back at it now, were you like back then, were you thinking this is a problem? This smoking crack and this doing blow, this is a problem, or no? Did you like it didn't cross the thoughts?
Yeah, it came in stages.
Okay.
I've been to prison 4 times with a total amount of almost 10 years. So the first stage was like looking at criminal behavior, and thinking getting out, and that was the issue. It wasn't an issue. It was part of the issue, but it wasn't just the issue.
Right.
Second prison stint was looking at this my anger, So addressed that, and then it's still. I went back out there, had a recurrence, went back out there, kept going back out there. The 4th time was looking at like this mental health shit, And then it's like, hey, come back out, and it wasn't the key. There's something missing. And then the 5th time, I'm like, come out. The 4th time. I come out. This is 2018. I went through a divorce in 2005 when I went to prison. I got out in 2018 in July of 2018. In September, I was married again of 2018 to my second wife, which was from a previous relationship with my first wife and second wife. So, there's a lot of big man-child, also had many years of... I like to say escorting, but that's churching it up. But prostitution and things like that. It didn't matter what the hustle was, as long as I can get it. And
It was a hustle for just having money, or for your adult?
Listen, it even lasted into my first year of recovery. I'm still doing these behaviors, but it didn't bother me. It was like, but I processed it in a group one day, and I was like, this is what it is. And it's like, I know that I'm getting in a realm of like, I've been outside of relationships and working out. So that's what it came down to. But the last key component that I needed to know is that it's a whole facet of everything. So all these things that I was trying to build my life into stages, if I just would have got it all together and like focused on it and actually went to treatment. So, and I was 34 when I first went to treatment. I went to treatment at Triad and Lino Lakes. Awesome ass program. That I took dialectical behavioral therapy as well, and the Lionel treatment is cognitive behavioral therapy. Those two fucking things alone just changed a whole lot and started putting in motion what my purpose is. So coming out, realizing that, getting this relationship, I was sober for 4 years before I went back out there in 2020. Like 2020, 2021, around my birthday, December 10th, I was like, my brother, I went through so much loss, and I used that for an excuse.
Right.
It's
what we do.
That's what we do.
That's what we do.
So, ended up leaving my wife, or she left me, a little bit of mutual. My sexual orientation also came out. I was, for long time, I could look back on it like I held back from opening up about my sexuality, and a lot of it was due to my father, his view set, things he would say, being in the prison system and how he viewed people in the prison system that had a different sexual orientation than just, hey, man and woman, and
Right,
it's
right.
like, so, I don't know, but my brother came out first, and that helped heal a lot, and helped me to have the confidence and strength to do that. I went back out there, and I just realized, like, what got me out of it was I don't have a rock bottom story. I don't have this, like, so fucking horrible. It was like, blah, 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 blah. I just got sick of being the person I had to be. I got sick of hurting people. I got sick of hurting my family and letting them down. I got sick of running around, still doing the same shit and damaging my children, Like, even though I don't have my kids in my life right now, that doesn't alleviate the fact that me healing from all this is going to heal them. Because when I get back to my children, because this is the purpose for me, it's God, and then it's Jermale and his recovery, and then it's others. And when it comes to others, it's my children. If anything gets in between that, even myself, and I get in between it more than anybody else, it's like it's no bueno, because that's not my purpose. That being said, I finally came into an actual recovery concept. Instead of just saying, hey, I'm sober, I was like, what is recovery? Recovery for me is looking into all these facets of my life and making sure that I am finding balance in them. I do, and for me, it's like I hustled and grind for 20 some odd years. I'm still out here hustling and grinding. I made it 40 years, and if I can make it another 40 years, helping not only others, but helping myself. They say it's a selfish program, right? An NA program that I run in my life. But that being said, I'm also like, I'm always, whatever gets you sober, whatever keeps you sober, and then whatever keeps you clean, and whatever brings you into recovery. Not everybody's pathway is the same pathway, and not every program out here is for everybody. But for me, it's like working with individuals. I come in a group setting, I'm kind of a little chaotic. I've got anxiety, antisocial, the list can go on, but these are just labels that can get me off my square and say that I can't or I won't. I just go out there, do. I love the newcomer aspect of it. So I left the lifestyle because I got sick of using and addict behaviors, right? And then a year later, I get a house manager position because and get in there and start working and realizing that, like, I don't miss this addict using behavior. It was just when I was in it is what I couldn't handle. Now that I'm out of it, I can see how I can navigate because I'm out of it.
Right.
And that's what, so I work hard. I have impulses. I make sure that they're healthier these days. And I also check into it and know that I have to have that healthy balance. I work 2 jobs. I got about 4 positions at both jobs. Just got on a re-entry grant for Twin Cities Recovery Project.
Nice.
I work at Park Avenue Centers as a house manager. I do driving on call. I'd come bring the guys up to the meetings and events. Just started up a new event where we can bring them out on Sundays, so we're gonna be coupling between game day and Will Works for Recovery, alternating between the two every Sundays.
We'll work for recoveries on North 2nd Street, 2520 North 2nd Street.
And I'm also working on this podcast for Twin Cities Recovery Project.
That's awesome.
So I got put on there, and so yeah, it's what I love about it is that I'm also do the IT side of things at Twin Cities Recovery Project, and this was like, to me at the time, felt like a wasted degree, wasted education, because 2009, when I finished my schooling, software development, PC Pro, all this fun stuff. I went to Normandale as well as MCTC. And yeah, I couldn't get in the field, but now it's like 10 years later and I'm actually utilizing these skills. So it's like these skills that we picked up along the way, and knowing that, like, hey, they all have a purpose, you know, building my life, going through the prison system. Now I'm a forensic endorsed peer recovery specialist, and I can be able to help navigate people that are coming in and out of the criminal justice system, because I have like 30 years of experience in doing it. And I got on administrative probation. I'm going to get early termination. I keep my nose clean next year. I still have like 4 years left, and it's like, it's just the process, you know, just stay the course and don't get high. Don't use. That's it.
We have a question here from Bridge saying, do you still use any DBT skills today?
Yeah.
I don't know what DBT skills
You know what?
mean.
The best one that I use is open hands. Open hand, just
Explain.
complete surrender. So, like, you know, usually when we're in a high intense situation, we're all balled up in our you know, and it's just that concept of like clenched fist. But if we can just surrender it and open our hands, just lay them low, and just really kind of just focus on that, you know, that really helps to alleviate a lot of this stress in myself. Also, you know, like, you know, that mindfulness piece, but being mindful of like more so than what's just going on inside of me, but backtracking everything that has led me up to this uncomfortable emotional imbalance that I have, because those are the times that I want to use. You know, those are the times that are going to get me slipped up. You know, I can navigate a lot of things in my life, but as soon as I'm emotionally compromised and I try to deal with something, it's just no bueno.
Dialectic behavior therapy is a type of talk therapy for people who experience emotions very intensely. It's a common therapy for people with borderline personality disorder, but therapists provide it for other mental health conditions as well, not only borderline personality disorders, where some get confused that might be the only thing they're dealing with. This array covers multiple facets. So also a follow-up on that was, what do you do to help control your thoughts, emotions, and actions? I think you touched on that, but if you want to elaborate.
You know, it's just recognizing when I'm having these negative thoughts and checking into it, because it's like, you know, we got like 60,000 thoughts in a day, and 90% of them are negative. And if you're an addict, like 90% of those are just, you know, wanting to fucking use, you know. Right. So you got a little 10% sliver, but that does change, you know. You can, the more that you work at this, the more that you have these issues that come up, because it's like they come in circles. You know, you have issues, you deal with it, and it comes back, you know, in a different way, different fashion, but they're all similar. You know, they keep regurgitating. But really checking in for me is like, also knowing I got a squirrel moment, so I have squirrel brain. So
can you explain to people what checking in means? Like
checking into like Jermale. Like Jermale needs to know that that we are safe. You know, that we are not a little boy anymore. You know, we are a grown man. A lot of these things are like my responses in things were based on that. looking at this life through a lens of a little child that was scared. These days, I hold JJ. You know,
Little JJ, you hold him
little
up.
JJ. I also hold Jimmy and Batman real tight because they want to go rampant too. But I was isolating, boxing them within me. But I had to realize that I gotta love and nurture them and care for them, you know. And I let them out once in a while. I get energetic like this and getting all and that's like, you know, JJ's going out there to play a little bit. But you know, I gotta reel that in because I can get into a chaotic moment and be unbalanced. I went to Faribault this weekend. And I had that. Like, I went and I brought some support down there because I was going down there to help a friend coming out the shit. And I realized that, like, I'm going down there. I have no fucking feelings about going down there. None at all. I get in the town. I'm manic and chaotic. And the friend that's using is like, you're triggering me. Slow down. And I'm like, yeah, I got to check into that stuff, you know. I realize when I'm off my square. So...
Shit. Couple questions. We'll probably end up devoting this first hour to Jermale and then kicking the second one over to Elyse, if that's all right. I don't know.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we can jump and then because I got a list of questions already and we have some people check in. You know what? No, I lied. We're gonna switch it.
Switch it up.
You're gonna tell us. You're gonna tell us some of your experience, strength, and hope, and then I'm gonna just bombard the both of you with a gang of questions.
Do it.
You okay with that?
Yeah.
Jermale, thank you. Thank you for what you've shared so far. Who are you?
I'm Elyse.
Prove it. No, I'm joking. Talk to me. Tell us a little bit about you.
Would you mind asking just a couple of questions of what you want to know so I'm able to?
Have you ever shared your story? Like, have you ever been up in front of a meeting and like been asked to share your experience, strength, and hope?
Yeah, I have.
How did that look like? Like, what did you do? You get in there and say, like, I grew up, my mom liked me, my mom didn't like me, or like I was raised in a good home, a bad home, or like kind of like that. Like, just tell how were you? You know, like. Just kind of like Jermale did, if you're okay with that. Or would you prefer me to kind of ask you questions through?
I would rather you ask me questions because I've got a lot of like a
Welcome
lot
to
of
the
stuff that is like swirling in here that I could talk about, and also just a lot has happened in the 27 years that I've been alive.
27. Okay. So how was childhood?
Childhood was kind of complicated. I had really young parents. My mom was 16, my dad was 17.
Okay.
And me and my sister did, you know, bounce back and forth between like our grandparents and stuff a lot. And my dad was in the Navy, so he was overseas, and sometimes I would be with my mom, and some of my earliest memories with her were not great, and it actually kind of ties into some of my experience with drug use, actually. Because whenever I didn't intentionally start using, you know, substances until I was older, like in like my teens. But there are a couple of instances whenever I was a child where my mom has confirmed this about smoking, her and her friends smoking weed around me and I got high like that, or like, you know, I drank alcohol at my parents' wedding and, you know, not really knowing like what it was. And one of her friends gave me something and I started hallucinating, and I think these are also like, they were young too, so they probably weren't really thinking logically, like, you know, probably shouldn't smoke around the baby, probably shouldn't, you know, these things.
Are you the younger sister, older sister?
I'm the second oldest of 8 kids, but I have seven siblings.
Yowzers. So this you're getting after it like pretty early. Like you're going through some stuff early.
Yeah.
Like how old were you when your parents got married? Do you remember the age?
My parents my parents were together for 6 or 7 years, but they were married for less than a year.
Okay.
I was, I think, 4. They got married 2 days before Christmas in 1999.
So at 4 years old, you were drinking at their wedding? Is that what you said? You shared
yeah,
that, right?
okay,
that's what I was asking.
Yeah, they had left like unattended attended glasses of champagne, and I remember like picking them up.
I think we all do. So then, like growing up with that many siblings too, young parents, like, and then bouncing grandma and grandpas or whatever.
Well, actually, I have two maternal half siblings, 2 paternal half siblings, 2 step siblings, and 1 biological sister. So.
Okay.
With her, I grew up with her primarily like the entire time, and
Okay.
like things just kind of came later.
And then
with the
like
other ones.
growing up, so like that's an early experience you just shared, like at this wedding or whatever. Like getting in, elementary and like junior high and like high school stuff. Like, was that all tricky? Like, was there always issues with substances for you, or like, how was that? How was your like that part of adolescence, like growing up? I'm trying to walk you through it. Like, I'm trying to figure out how
Well,
to do that.
But I would say that like the earliest addictions for me that I remember was food, sex, and pornography.
Mm-hmm.
My earliest memories of pornography, I was really young. I woke up and my mom was watching like the late night adult whatever
Skinamax.
that at 2 or 3 in the morning, and I remember there was this lady who was wearing nothing but black heels, and that's what I remember. And that was my earliest memory, I think, of like my interest in that. For some reason I was like interested in it, but also from my experience of like trauma and stuff, I am also very like kind of grossed out by it. But it was a survival skill. It was how I got my validation. It was whatever. And I've been in situations where it's just either I want I was in constant need of like affection, because not a lot of people in my family were super affectionate, or they kind of showed their love by like buying, like doing things or buying things, versus saying like I love you, like I
Right.
want to give you a hug,
Like real emotions.
yeah.
So, grandma, like, were you real close with grandma, or more close with mom? Because you said that's what you bounce back and forth from grandma to mom. You're saying, or no?
Well, yeah, I mean, early on, like my mom would be like, so I have like a couple different grandmas.
Okay.
So like
Yeah,
it would be between different ones. Like my great grandma, like I lived with her for a while. I've been with my dad's mom, and I've been with my mom's mom too. So like
Okay.
I've bounced between, for whatever reason.
Well, like
it
the reason I
was.
bring that up is like not. I guess I'm trying to get to a point of like, did you feel like there was any stability? Like, because that can do some things to a child. Like feeling like there's never any stability or something, like, or if that's something you even looked at or thought.
No, I think that some of that did contribute to some of my separation anxiety, because there's a time where, when my parents divorced, I had a single dad for a period of time. Me and my sister went to live with our dad, and they were very generous. They wanted him overseas, but they were very generous of letting us stay. We just had to be in Oklahoma City for a period of time.
Okay.
And which was, we were away from family, and we would even then have to fly back to Texas because he had to be on call, or like we were also very poor at the time, and like he needed help with a lot of different things.
Okay.
So there was that, and then he later along the line, like he ended up getting married to my stepmom, and by this time he worked out of state for like 15 years, and he'd be gone between 3 weeks to 6 months at a time. So he was gone, and I didn't really like have like the greatest relationship with my mom. It was always because she's mentally ill, she's an addict. She has never been the most reliable, because she couldn't be. And my stepmom, she worked a lot too, and this, my dad and her had, a kid together, and she already had 2 kids from a previous marriage, and that was hard. Just there was a lot of abuse, a lot of trauma, a lot of, my relationship with her was very black and white. She loved you and fucking hated you. And sometimes it happened in the same day. And I think this was like a time, and like my stepsister, she was very good at portraying a different image of herself. Like she was pretty, she had all the friends, like,
She put on a show.
yeah, she put on a show. And like, and it's, I feel bad for talking about this, because like I'm trying to work on my relationship with both of them, because I've learned to forgive. And my stepbrother, who is the most amazing human being now, he was a terrifying, like, he was a psychopathic, like, child. Like, he would torture and abuse animals. I think we don't know for sure. I think he might have killed his rabbit when he was, and just,
I mean, I killed a bird once on purpose,
but no, he would.
I don't know if I was trying to be funny or not. That was fucked up. But I do. I remember I killed a bird once, man. I felt bad about it though. So like here, let me bring it to this. I was asking you kind of all that stuff because I also like, and you brought up separation anxiety, but with that many siblings and then bouncing grandma, great grandma, mom, Texas, not seeing dad, this and that, like, do you feel like a lot of that is contributing to how things ended up before you got to recovery? Why you got to where you're at before recovery?
I think so. I think like I think it does contribute to like my relationships with people, like a lot of different things. Intimate relationships. I trauma bond.
Trauma bond. What does
Trauma
that mean?
bond. It's I don't know, you'd have to look it up. I can't really describe it, but like any situation like the inconsistent or like the mixed feelings, there's like an addictive like thing. My stepmom was like that. My ex-girlfriend was like that. My stepsister was like that.
So like you'll find a connection with someone else who's got some trauma, and you guys will bond over that trauma.
Yep.
Is that like and you
bond through like unhealthy
Go ahead.
like.
It's basically like if you look at it like it's a spiritual attack. This is a spiritual program. A lot of us work, right? You look at it like a lot of us are drawn to our traumas, and then we share our traumas and we process through it and we go through it, and then we think we're in love. Or we think we're connected, and this is the person for us, right?
And then you realize that you don't have shit in
Nothing
common.
in common, and all of a sudden it's like the puppy love stage, because I hate the puppy love stage too. So it's like that first, I could be sitting here at dinner chewing with my mouth open, and we're dating, and then all of a sudden she don't say nothing because she likes me, or and then like 6 months later, we've been fighting a few times. We're like, oh, we're gonna go out to eat, and all of a sudden we go out to eat, and I'm smacking, and she's like, will you close your fucking mouth when you eat? And it's like, what the fuck? Where's this coming from?
Right.
But
Yeah.
a lot of that is like we're connected on a level where our traumatic backgrounds and the traumas that we go through are like, it's healing as well as damaging at the same time.
So like to dumb it down for a guy like me to hear what you guys just said, it'd be almost like two people. Let's just use something that Dum can. We bond over sex. We have a great sex, like boom, boom, boom. Then all of a sudden we have to get to know each other, and we realize we don't like each other, and that just out of the blue, like 3 to 5 months later, when you're in deep, like trauma bond is a term developed by psychologists George Dutton and Susan Painter to describe emotional bonds with an individual that arise from a reoccurring psychological pattern of abuse perpetrated by intermittent reinforcement through awards and punishments. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, and it's all like I said, like a pink cloud. Like you're riding this pink cloud, then all of a sudden we got to get to know each other and. Shit, I don't like nothing about you, but this one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have in common, which is our trauma.
Right, or like they would like someone would like be like, oh, you're so great, I love you, and I would get so like uncomfortable with it. But the minute you think that they're going to change on you, they find someone better, they like someone better than that. That is usually when my attachment, my trauma, my like.
Don't go, don't run.
Where like I love you, I hate you, but don't leave, not like this.
I don't want to be with you, but I want to be with you.
Right.
Like
I don't want to be with you, but I can't stand you, but I don't want you to go away type deal. Yeah.
That's some tug of war shit, guys.
Yeah.
So like, and you guys, anyone out there listen, we've shared about some stuff here for almost an hour about like, and we've talked about some mental health stuff. Like a lot of this is about some mental health. And if anyone out there is struggling with this stuff or having any harmful thoughts, like I always share about it. I did at the beginning, like please reach out. I put up a hotline number right on the screen. So just utilize this stuff. Reach out to other people on the threads, or like I said, I put my number on the reach out. But if you're struggling, just please reach out. You're worth the fight. Like, don't give up. And we're about to get to the other side of things. So, how long have you been in recovery? How long have you? When was your last? What's your clean date?
Well, my clean date is November 23rd, 2020, but I started my recovery journey like sometime in June of 2019.
Okay.
I haven't been sober the entire time, but
But you've been okay. So you both got some time in these rooms. Like you both, I've seen you guys at tons of meetings over the last few years. So, what was the like? I don't think when Jamal shared, you said like there wasn't some deep or some huge bottom or something. I think you mentioned.
Oh, yeah, no.
But like, what was it that got you to come to recovery?
I had a suicide attempt.
And again, that's the hot number I put up here. So if anyone's struggling with that, like, please reach out. Please. Like, it's no joke. You're worth the fight. Please reach out. Suicide attempt.
Yeah.
Talk to me.
I didn't at the time. So for a period of time, like I was living with actually an ex-girlfriend of my dad's. This was after my mom, but before my stepmom. And she had been a part of my life, since I was like 6, for a long time. I was living with her, and I'm not really sure what happened with that, but I think I was overwhelmed. I think there was just a lot of trauma, a lot of stuff I didn't know how to deal with. And like, the odd thing was that it was one of the more healthy, stable living situations that I had been in. But it was boring. I was working for shit pay all the time. Like there was a lot of things that I was doing, but I was still not happy, and I think I was so burnt out too. Like I think the sensory overload, like autism burnout, like not being able to process or understand what I was going through. And like her and I had a fight beforehand, and I think that triggered that. And then whenever I went to the psychiatric hospital in Texas, I didn't really have a plan because she told me that I had to get my shit together for me to come back. And the only option was to live with my Mimi again for, however long she always opened her home to you if you needed it. And then, but recovery was recommended to me at the time, and I only had a certain amount of time to figure that out. Okay. And I just kind of went with it.
So it was like dropped on you, like here.
It was dropped on me.
So it wasn't something you sat and thought about for months and years and years. It was
dropped on me because I thought I didn't have any other choice at the time. I didn't have a plan. I didn't know what else to do.
So like we've had people on the show, some old timers, matter of fact, that talk about like they be in the program for years, successful without picking up a drink or a drug. And they'll talk about, because I always bring up like relapse. Like to me, there's some things I don't understand about some certain things, so I ask. That's just how I do. I ask. It might sound silly, but it's quite like I asked someone how to like balance a checkbook a few years ago. Things that you would think I'd know, but I don't. So they're talking to me like, it's not when someone dies I go back out and drink. It's not when my wife left me. It was like when I stubbed my toe. It was like these little things, and it made me think of that when you're talking about like things were going good. Like a shitty job, but like it was the best living situation. Like all these things blew up, and like out of the blue, just some small little thing. And I do this. Like I don't get what that is about human nature or what that is about us. Like you said, for the most part, you went through way more dirty trauma prior to that than before a suicide attempt, right?
Yeah.
By the sounds of it, and not to sit and revisit negative shit, but like how you got to that point of like thinking like that was the option when it didn't sound like you shared about some things that sound way, way worse than that. But like
right. I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes I get to the point where like I'm just so overwhelmed. I mean, there were other things prior to that I had went through. I think no matter what, I have to say this, the hardest thing I think that I've experienced was watching someone die. hard to say that. And, and I went through heroin withdrawal cold turkey in an airport for 2 days with nothing. And I'd rather go through that again, because at least I know that I won't ever have to go through that again if I don't pick heroin up again.
Right.
But
right.
that day still sticks with me.
Oh, hell yeah.
Even like I was 20 at the time, and there was just a lot of stuff, and dude who murdered him, he went from 40 years to 15 years to by the time he gets out, he was sentenced in 2017, and he's going to get out, and his anticipated release date is 2026, so he would have spent like 9 years.
Yeah, it's wild, this is how the system is sometimes.
Yeah.
Wild might not be the best word for it, but yeah, no, I think that you answered that fairly well. So, recovery, like, we can't spend a lot. I asked you guys to come on and talk about experience, strength, and hope, and that means tell me your story like we've never met, and I want to know about you. So, like, you both shared some dark shit. You both did.
Sorry about that.
No, I want that.
Sorry
like,
if anybody got triggered out there.
No, and that's valid, I guess. I'm over here like, I don't get triggered, so I don't care. But other people do, and I get it, and I understand. Like, I need to understand how that works.
Right.
And that's why I love talking to people. I love hearing just every side of shit. You brought it up. Like, you brought it up hardcore, too. And I always say this. Whenever I'm at other meetings or when I go to inpatients or prisons, whatever, like, I've talked to over 200 people on this show, and I bet 30 different ways people have found a form of their happiness. I don't even say recovery, just a new way of living, whether it's transcendental meditation, church, NA, CMA, AA, cold turkey, whatever. All I challenge someone to do is go try something new. Go try something different. Like, that's the only thing I'll ask someone to do, because I've heard enough people share about some happiness, not the same way I did it. I was a heroin junkie. I found AA. AA worked for me, and I was a junkie. Like, whatever. But, I mean, you both know I go to NA too, but it doesn't. You see what I'm saying? Like, I'm not here to say that, nope, you were an alcoholic, you got to go to AA. You were a meth addict, you got to go to CMA. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Nah, whatever works for you, go do it. Just so you do something, go have an experience with this new lifestyle. All right, back off my little total. You know what? No, here. Recovery. What's been working for you? What works for you for recovery?
Using my skills that I've learned. Using skills. I try to like let things pass. I don't know if that helps. I'm not exactly sure, to be honest with you, but it has been working.
What fellowship do you go to?
I actually have been struggling to go to fellowship with my job.
Okay, I'm sorry. Let me requit. What meeting? Like, do you go to Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, CMA? Is there one you specifically go to?
I prefer NA.
NA?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what. When I'm just so used to people being like, "What fellowship do you belong to?" And think everyone knows what I'm talking about.
I still don't know all the terms.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I should explain that better. So NA, like, and that's helped you find some recovery.
Yeah.
Like, you work. Do you work with a sponsor? Do you have a sponsor?
I do have a sponsor. Getting in touch with her has been kind of challenging, just with both of our work schedules. Right. So I haven't. I am still on step 7.
It's way further than me in the NA program. Damn workbook. Jamal, what fellowship do you belong to?
I belong to a lot of fellowships, but mainly I belong to the fellowships of sober fun events. I'm just saying
we were pumping you up last week. You know that.
I left. I mean, we all left a party scene. You know, we got into it because it was fun. I don't care. I don't know who tells you, but I got into it because I had validations. I had loyalty. I had respect. I had love. I had people that catered and listened to nurtured the needs that I was lacking in my home, my schooling, my community. And there's people that picked up on it, right, wrong, or indifference. Mm-hmm. You know, it gave me something knowing that, hey, I like getting turned up. I liked it. Like, and I don't know if anybody wants to sit here and say that they don't, and it was so hard. Yeah, it comes with it.
Right.
Life isn't fair, man. Like, that's a fact. That's not like a core belief or anything. That's just factual.
Yeah.
It's chaotic and hellish out here. But you know what? I don't have to be a part of it. But I can sit here and try to motherfucking tailor my life and to help capture people that feel in the same way, especially when we come to these meetings. I have PTSD and debilitating anxiety, people. Like, I am super vigilant and super sensitive and empath like a motherfucker. And you know what? I'm also like struggle with a lot. But I don't have to use that as an excuse. So what did I do? My first year, my aunt told me, like, you know, when I got, so I kind of didn't finish off. So I got married again, and then I went through this, and in 2018, relapse in 2021, 2019 and 20. So the whole of that 20 was just chaos mess. This is second time I go into the treatment. And what really got me out of it was I was up for so long. I'm in a hotel. I was telling my girlfriend to go to bed, and I fell asleep, and I woke up to her just staring down at me or over me. And the first thing out of her mouth was like, the neighbors were, and I'm like, no, I can't have this life no more. This is too much pressure. So that's what really kind of started it. I'm like, oh, COVID time, I got a Rule 25, and nobody was really getting a Rule 25, but I had connections from that. So it's like, that was the start, but I didn't get sober. It took all the way up until October, you know, and I'm like, oh, I go to jail, and then December 31st or whatever, I got high in jail, did a quarter gram, what I thought was meth. Next day, I'm like, okay, I'm good. A few days later, I went to treatment. Had nothing but fentanyl in my system. So I'm like, if I'm just like a big trash compactor, it's like, I don't want that no more. You know, it's like, what the fuck? Like, nothing's going to kill me. And it's like, it was just crazy. So that's where I started. 1/1/21, you know. Year later, I went back to Fair, you know, got out of treatment, got back to Faribault, and all of a sudden, like, oh, you know, I went back to an X for a reason, people. Moved into Faribault again, thinking I've got a place. Didn't fall through. I'm in a laundromat with all my shit for one night, and I called my ex-partner in crime. I'm like, hey, I'll sell my TV and PlayStation and sell dope for a week. Verge of using. You know, it sounded good, but you know, now I'm in the trap house, like, leave me the fuck alone. I'm like not doing this. Like, get the fuck away from me. And like, you know, everybody. So I'm up there for like 3 days, bugging the fuck out, mental health crazy. I checked myself in the hospital, and had Power People Leadership Institute come from the cities here. And my father helped orchestrate that and got me back into Turning Point. Went from Turning Point to Park Avenue Center. So I stayed. That was the course, you know. It's like.
So you and Pops
1/1/21.
You and Dad?
Yes. Yeah, we're very close. We've been close I also did 2 prison terms with my father. So, you know, and I've been to every prison except for Moose Lake. You know, so I was a knucklehead in my first 2 bit. But my aunt was like, "Hey, listen, before I was leaving all this shit, you know, my aunt said something very valuable to me and very vital that helped me come into recovery. And that was that you need to first quit looking for God in a book, quit looking for him in a religion, and look for him in your spirit. You need to ask, knowing that he's with you, he's beside you, he walks with you, he's in you, he is you. You know, quit looking so far. And to slow down, have patience, and listen. Shut the fuck up. And then she also said, you need a relationship with yourself. Not me, not your mother, not your father, not any women, not your friends, nobody but Jermale. And so that's what I did for a whole year, you know, almost longer than a year. I got to know myself. Mm-hmm. I didn't have sex. I didn't do all this chaotic behavior. that's when the recovery started working. And
Isn't that weird how that works?
isn't it weird? And then I came in December 21. Yes. December 21, I came to a business meeting, Phoenix, NA. There was a pretty girl in there. She took a service position. I took one next to her. That was my intentions of coming here. Didn't realize that, a few months later, and you know what? You were there when you voted me in. You were the one that, you were there for my first and ever extent in any kind of program. And it was an NA program, and it saved my life, Started out with Phoenix NA as a secretary. Got all in my feels like a few months later. I can't do this.
That's the NA way, baby.
That's the NA way.
Yep.
Then realized, man, I miss this shit. And so came back. Around that time, a couple months go by, we started a events committee. Me and my cousin Joel, I think Hugh was on
shot
that at
Joe
the
on
time. Missy, and so
Name dropping over here.
name dropping. To me that was like, man, I felt like I'm hearing it. I was in a couple business meetings. They're talking about getting out of this deficit. There's so much behind, and let's do events. Nobody really is doing it. And they were talking about it, but nobody wanted to pull the trigger. And I'm like, fuck, man, I got time on my hand, and I know how to do this shit. I know how to throw a party, man. That's it ain't no different.
No, and that's where I thought you were going with earlier when you brought up this old life we lived at, this chaotic, but this we enjoyed it. And I thought you were about to flip it into that's what we make our recovery into. I thought you're about to start talking about with Will Work and the events coordinator, how much fellowship you do and how much fun stuff you're part of. I've got questions about that. I want you to get into basically how much fun you have in recovery.
Okay, so this is how much fun I have in recovery. Today, I went to a meeting, and for me, that's fucking fun. Because you know why? I come to the meeting, and I get to hear somebody that has the same type and similar lifestyle as me, but is so much more debilitated to open up and share her shit, and yet she shares her shit, because that's what it's about. Then I sit here, and I came from a meeting. You see what I'm saying? I came from another meeting of like-minded individuals that are doing things in the community. And from that meeting, I'm going to a sober birthday party, going down and canoeing and doing these things. And I'm sitting here and picking up their flyers and looking at what they got going on. It's all about how much. It ain't who you know or what you know. It's how much you fucking know. And so for me, it's I constantly look into what I can do for Jermale to have fun, and what I can do to help others to have fun. I go, we got especially my job alone, Twin Cities Recovery Project. We got the Ride for Justice every Saturday morning, 10 o'clock at 3400 East Lake Street. And we just ride around the community. You got bikes there. Come out, get healthy wellness, exercise. We got the speaker jam that's coming up at the end of the month. We got
What time? When?
we
can advertise on this show.
We coming up on the 20. What's Friday? The 29th? Or sorry, look up Friday. Last Friday of the month from 5 to 7.
We've got the 26th of May from 5 to 7.
5 to 7 at 3400 East Lake Street. That's the speaker jam. I will be on there as well as Joel Baldwin, if y'all know who that is, as well as a young up and coming newcomer that's out there doing good things. Sarah, as well as I don't know who else they got on the block, to be honest, so I'm just going to shut up on
good.
that. But,
The event itself is what, any of this stuff, that riding and bikes, what was that again? When? Saturday?
That's Ride for Justice Saturday at 10 o'clock at
right.
3400 East Lake Street.
10-speed mountain bike, BMX.
Yeah, we got them all. Then there's the things here that go popping off that I'm very excited about, like the Phoenix Game Day. This is one of the last Well, one of the last steady ongoing events that I'd put on is the Phoenix coordinator for events. You know, I had to step away, not out of anything of like, in my fields, it's just, I don't have the time like I used to, you know, I work a lot, and that's like, I'm cutting into a lot of me time and healthy me time. It's like, and I need that, you know.
The longer we stay in these rooms, the more we realize, like, okay, now it's time for me.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. The first year was 7 nights a week meetings and fellowshipping and doing events and service work. But then that's the goal of this stuff, is to start living again.
And you know, and I didn't step away from like Phoenix, NA. A lot of people think like, oh, Jermale just stepped the hell away, and he's like, F y'all. I'm like, no, I'm still here.
Look,
you
let me bring something up. This man was
yeah.
part of. There was an event they held, and Phoenix was down almost 3 stacks when I left, like $3,000. And this real quick, sorry for the rant. This goes to the whole fact that I was talking about at the beginning of the show. You heard me bringing up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 new meetings in the last 2 weeks that came to this building. A lot of that has to do with the new board that's in here that is starting to work with meetings. But don't get this whole thing confused. We have people at Phoenix that really went above and beyond. When I left, we were about $3,000 in the red. Missy, you, Joe, these people stepped up. They went outside the box, and they did it appropriately. They went to the board and said, "What can we do?" So, events coordinator, the one that I want to bring up one. It was like $300 or $500 you guys raised one night down there in the room. Like, they got a surplus. They got money. They're deciding what entities to give money to, and this is all in under a 6-month time. Like, that is something we brought up last week. We ran out of time last week too, but like, that's something you can hold your head high about. Like, that's an accomplishment you made in this thing of recovery, not for just you though. No. Like, we do this for ourselves. Like, I try to explain this to the audience. We do this stuff for ourselves, our recovery, for our livelihood and our well-being. But in return, fuck the money. It's saving lives.
Yeah. And for me, it's like, it's not about the money, people, but it's about having a safe place for us to breathe and get to learn how to motherfucking do this life, you know, because we don't know shit. No. All we know is what you want and what you need. Now, now we come in here and start going to these fellowships and start getting in. I couldn't open my mouth in a fucking meeting until I could sit in the shadows and in the dark of a fellowship and observe and watch people, because it just wouldn't let me in. I just couldn't do it. And then I realized, like, oh, and I could be my natural self and chaotic self that I was still, you know, coming off of, and then shift over to like working this program. But I couldn't have worked it without, you know, really having people that like, just like, hey, we going to motherfucking Nicollet Diner, you know, and it's like, okay, cool.
And that's what this is, though. And you know what? You brought this up, and I didn't get to even kind of capitalize on it, but someone else asked, and I went down this rabbit hole telling you, like, all these people, all these different fellowships, all these different methods of finding their happiness. The one key thing I noticed most people say, and you told me your aunt gave you this piece of advice about God, and you said it too. It's like, me, then everything else. When I see people succeed in this program, from my own little fact-finding mission, my statistics from what I've heard people share, doing it for yourself. Like, I know everyone's heard, I did this for the courts. I got to do this for my children. I got to do this for my girl. Sometimes I've heard some success out of that, but 98% of people that come in here with a success story is, I had to do this for me. And then my kids or God, like.
Got to put your own mask on first.
Like, and I think that's important. We share that. And I'm not saying that's the only way. I know better than to say there is only one way.
There's a billion fucking ways. I got a friend that just motherfucking said, I don't like fucking losing money from coke anymore. And we just had this conversation. He's like, I'm not sober. I'm like, when's the last time you used coke? And it's been some years. I'm like, you still working on that? Still, like, is it a problem? Is your life manageable? Have you fucking gone like, yeah, you might not come to a fucking meeting and do this shit, and But you know what? You're not using
You're not
something
living
that has
life you
taken
were
your
living.
power.
Yes, yes.
You know, and that's what it is. It's a suggestion, people. But if you look at it, it's like we admitted we are powerless over our addictions or alcohol or whatever it is, and our life has become unmanageable.
Sometimes you gotta do it more than once.
You know, and it's like, and that's the reality. Like, not everything is unmanageable for everybody. For me, people are the most unmanageable thing for me, relationships. So that was the last part of it, like my relationship of knowing that, like, hey, I might be a little codependent and need to rely on somebody else. I'm fucking 40 years old, and I'm technically like a 19, 20-year-old because I'm just now starting my own fucking personal journey in life. So, you know, you're way ahead of me. You know, you're a lot growner than Jermale over here. He's just getting it together. But you know, I stayed in sober living. I still live in sober living. I work here, but you know, I still live there. You know, it's been almost going on 3 years, and it's like I'm just now feeling like, hey, I'm ready. You know, so it's like
there ain't no. Hey, it's just like that. Don't date for a year. No. Date when you think when you know you're ready.
Exactly.
Leave when you know you're ready. When Papa Bird needs to leave the nest, you're the one who's gonna know.
Yep.
The state's not gonna know. Your sponsor's not gonna know. You're going to know.
And don't use the like excuse like, oh, like my past is, I could say it's ugly and horrible and I got blah, blah, blah. But I've never like, I can't experience like not having my parents, you know. Like that to me and people that share that, I'm like, oh my God, that's the horrible thought. Because I don't have that experience, right? So it's all about the experience. But I can still fucking share about loss of people, you know. And so I what brought me into this recovery facet and learning on this stuff is like, you know, I went through so much last year, but yet I did not use.
Right.
And we you know, and that wasn't the first thought, was to go out there and the first thought is like, why? You know, why? Why did this happen? What am I supposed to learn from this?
Right. we talk about everything and use over nothing.
Yeah.
Talk about everything, use over nothing. We take steps in things we didn't believe in and got results we can't deny. Elyse, do you have a higher power?
I do. It took me, I still don't know what to call my higher power, but it took me a long time, I think, because of my history with the whole God thing, because there are some people in my family who are religious, and we were taught that God, you know, hates certain groups of people, you know, and I think, you know, when things kept happening, I guess maybe I had expectations of, if there is a God, why am I going through all these things? Versus, you know, and I didn't know anything about spirituality until I got into this program, and it helped me like, okay, well, I don't have to look at it through a religious standpoint no more. I can do it through a spiritual.
I'm glad you kind of took it there, because that's kind of a follow-up question amongst one more is, when I ask you, do you have a higher power, is that where your brain goes to right away, is spiritual or religion?
Yes.
It is.
Yeah.
I'm going to get to you next. Also, how do you utilize your higher power, whatever it may look like? You just said, like, I don't know what that looks like yet, but are you able to apply that to your recovery? Whatever your higher power may be, whatever you have made that out to be up here, do you somehow utilize that in your recovery? If so, how?
I think that I do, but I can't really explain. It's not, I can't find the words to explain how I use it.
It's all good.
I think taking care of myself
Hey.
is like and that's something that I think I've done different this time. You know, instead of like, there are things that I would do that I don't use as a distraction anymore. I'm actually getting to know myself and taking care of myself and not relying on certain things for that validation.
Like, don't get it confused. When I'm asking you a question, I'm never going to be like, your answer's wrong. That ain't what this is. This ain't them politics. I listen to people
I
with
always
politics.
think that my answers are wrong no matter
don't.
what.
You got to stop unvalidating yourself. Like, don't.
Anxiety.
Like, did I say, oh, I shouldn't have said that. Why the fuck?
Jermale, do you have a higher power?
Yes, I have a higher power. my higher power is God, but my concept of God and other people's concept of God is a lot more
Explain.
different.
Explain.
I do believe in God from, if you want to say, the Bible or the Quran. But for me, my higher power is like very cocky, very arrogant, he's just an asshole. And he really fucking lets me know what the fuck is right from wrong, what is reality, and because I'm patient enough to listen. And then when I'm not, and when I rebuke it and go against the grain, it always fucks me over. And it's like a lot of chaotic things come in. That's what I was saying, like come in like intervals. Like here it is, I gave up 5 years, almost 5 years of my sobriety over these like so many things going on, and then like not even like a year, almost not even a year into my, or almost into my 2 years. That's what it was. I had so much fucking more loss and more personal shit that happened, and I'm like, I could think of what happened in the last experience when I went out there. That's where my higher power let me see, like,
Playing the tapes through.
like for real, like looking at like, well, you did this already. We've been here, so we're gonna try it again, but we're gonna see if you can not fucking use.
Right.
And so I just didn't fucking use. And so that's what it boils down to. And it's like for me, it's like I deal with shit in my day. Tomorrow's a new day.
So like you kind of, I think you're
God
answering
checks
that.
it.
I think you're answering this next part is like, how do you utilize your higher power with your recovery? Like, how do you utilize that?
I would look at it like this. I know I still have things that I'm working on.
Mm-hmm.
I still have. Last night, somebody's rummaging through my car, little hoodlum creature, and I'm like, all right. I'm like, what is my response? Now, I live around like 28th and Park, people, so it's such a lovely neighborhood, So it is actually, it's just a neighborhood, Chaos is everywhere. So, but here it is that I'm just running out of my house like, motherfucker, get on my goddamn. And this kid's running down the street, dropping his backpack and just running, and I'm still running after him. Fucking lose my shoe running after this motherfucker. Catch him. Like, hey, empty your pockets, give me your shit. What do you got in my shit? Right? He does it. I get my shit. Except for my wallet, it's missing. And I'm walking back. But the whole fucking time I'm doing it, I'm on this. So this is God. This is spiritual awakening. This is where my higher power plays into my life. I'm on the phone with my mom talking to her about like, you ain't got to worry about me and my brother. We got our life. We're doing this, like trying to reassure her that she can start focusing and trying to heal on her shit. And I'm sitting here like on the phone, and my mom's freaking out. She hangs up, calls my dad, and my dad's calling, and I'm running on the street. And I'm like, the whole time I can hear God sitting there telling me, bro, he could have a gun. Why are you chasing after him? You're not in that lifestyle no more. You're not that person.
Right.
We do recover. So I catch this little dude, young gentleman, get my stuff. And the whole time it's like, whoop his ass, whoop his ass, whoop his ass, beat his ass. Jimmy Batman in there struggling. Let us out. No. I just let him go. And it's like, that's God, because I asked for patience, for love, for patience and love, and to recover from this anger and this violent nature side of me. And I'm just like, I can call my mom, I can call the police. I'm just sorry. I that's just another whole fucking,
Right.
I have had such an authority issues. I have assault on police officers, assault on fucking,
yes.
I went to Oak Park Heights for assault on staff and spent a year in Supermax hole. So if anybody knows about that, that sucks. You don't get no human contact. I had like a bunch of colony ants that I would just like feed and hang around with. Like, mental, so But this is the whole point. Like, even through all this and what I was talking about, like my earliest childhood memory, all this negative and good or bad, right, wrong, or difference, I thank God every single fucking day, because guess what? It's giving me the strength and experience to know how to manage and help somebody else out of it. The most powerful spiritual, I guess, presence that I had of God is going to Lionel Lakes when I was in treatment, doing all this, sitting in this restorative justice 2.0 and being there with a domestic assault, and then another individual is there with a murder charge. Another individual is there with a sexual crime, towards. So I'm sharing my shit, like I kind of shared this, but a little bit deeper.
Right.
And then the next person to share is he's like, yeah, I'm here, and my sexual deviants are little boys, and I'm sharing my little shit. And I have to sit here and process and go through this. And I stayed in this group, and it was like immersive trauma fucking therapy type shit. And it was like, it blew my mind. Like, how the fuck did I go through it and not want to? And how did I heal from this? And how could I sit there and say, hey, John South, I can sit here and say that, I can understand and check in. Show compassion. And the only way is that, like, if it was happening to me, what was happening to him? It could have happened to him. That's the only way I could forgive that individual, to sit here and heal and go through it. And only God can do that. And now I sit here and I share my shit and talk about this shit, and I have people that have gone through like domestic situations and sit there and process and talk about this stuff, and that's what these meetings and this program's about. It doesn't fucking matter. We all have dark, deep skeletons in our fucking closet. Just motherfucking, I take you where you are. I don't give a fuck. I see where you are, and it's like, it's love, man. Because if you ain't got love, then you got fear, and if you got fear, you're going out there hurting something or hurting yourself. You
guys should be listening to the 4-Step Workshop shows when I have Rick and Jesse on. We literally just shared about that, because he was sharing about the 4-step stuff and like how you get over stuff. And my thing's this, like, how do I get over or give up or give? How do I forgive someone who murdered someone I love? How do I forgive someone who raped someone I love, or me, or molested someone, or me? How do I do that? And it's through compassion or grace. I'm not gonna bust the. I'm not
surrender.
It's something where check in or go to the 4-Step Workshop at 6:30 on Wednesdays here at 2218 and listen to Rick Bowman talk about it. I don't even want to try to regurgitate it because I won't do justice. Now, here's the part of the show where I'm going to play something for you guys. Matter of fact, Kyle just reposted this. I'm going to play something, and then I want you both to respond to this while I step out. It's a new segment we doing. Now, this is follow along with it and answer in your own head as he's asking these questions to his guests. And then just share on your take of it, okay? You guys following what I'm asking?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so here we go. Let me undo my Bluetooth. This is fun. This is fun, new stuff. Oh, and wait till my other side note what we're going to do. All right, here we go.
$1 million cash. How would you feel?
I would be extremely grateful.
Would anybody be able to get you in a bad mood for a little while?
Absolutely not.
Okay, Deanna, would you agree?
I would agree 100%.
If I said I'll give you the $1 million, matter of fact, I made it 10 million, but you couldn't wake up tomorrow, you're done. Would you take it?
Absolutely not.
Okay, so what you're both saying is that just waking up tomorrow is worth more than $10 million.
That's Eleanor's perspective, and yep, it is. It is worth.
Then why ain't you feeling that way every damn time you wake up?
Oh, shit. Damn. I never looked at it that way.
Nobody does, dude. That's why we get up and we're all bummed out. We have a bad day, and this sucks, and that sucks, and the world hates me, and that's not fair. And I can't lose weight because of this reason, and I can't get in shape, and I can't make money, and blah, 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 blah. Guys, we woke up.
It's gonna be a good day. So that's what he asked. He's like, if I gave you $10 million, would you take it? Then he brought it to $10 million and said, all right, but look, if you can't wake up tomorrow, will you still take it? Talk to me about that.
Would you take it?
I don't know. I think it depends.
That's basically the same thing. I'll just be honest.
bring it
Like,
into the gratitude,
I'm
like,
just,
you wake
I'm
up every
just
day
being
grateful?
honest. Like, I thought about like, I know that like for me personally, like, I see that view set like in my life, like I was saying, like I'll go through some shit in a day, and then the next day is a new fucking day, and I wake up like I'm grateful for having that breath.
Right.
Then there's another side of me like, fuck, man, if I could get that money and then motherfucker put it towards something good and I had to die and go on and that was my, purpose. I guess that's a
Or, like, where-
devil's advocate there
Right.
view, like, hey, is this money going to my kids and their future and stability, or is it going to the community? Is
But I
it
mean,
gonna
you still
be
could give it to
used
them if you're
something,
alive.
Yeah, well,
Too.
but you don't get the money. That was the question.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but my addict brain tells me like, how can I get the money and wake up with a breath? Like, like that hustle mentality. But
Right.
and really, how can you get that money and get the breath? It's like, quit looking at it monetary gain, like tangible, but looking at it like a spiritual gain.
Right.
Like, how you doing?
Good.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I know that like you have more clean time than me. Right. But I've seen you grow more than I have in that period too. Like in a short period. Like when we were first, you remember when we first came to Willworks, when I first started coming around, and we were at an event and you shared and opened up with me. You pulled me out where I came outside and I was like, "Hey, how you doing?" And you were actually just opened up and shared.
Was that whenever I was on the verge of like just okay?
Yes. And that's what I want to say that that's where that $1 million concept comes in, because
Right.
it's like in that moment, it's like I needed that too, because there's so much stuff that you were processing around that time that I was going through the same and similar and just didn't check into it until you had opened your mouth. So
Right.
I'm grateful for that.
Thank
I
you.
just wanna-
It means a
put
lot
that
to
out
me, and
there.
it took me a long time to realize this. Like, you don't heal if you don't feel. Feelings suck. They do, but you get a lot more out of that versus if you just don't. Like you appreciate more.
Yeah, good shit, guys. Yes, good stuff, guys. All right, now way out in left field. Elyse,
Yeah.
do you think we're alone in the universe? Do you believe that there's aliens or all sorts of other stuff?
I do believe in aliens, yes.
Jamal, do you think we're alone in the universe?
Oh heck no! Me and some other like-minded individuals just waiting for them to come pick us up. I'm just saying.
Who's them?
We can't speak their names, but they're out there.
All right, so do you believe like things like who built the pyramids? Do you think that's some old extraterrestrial stuff?
Just.
I don't think about that shit.
I don't think about that shit. Yeah, I'm like, piers have been built. I want to see something in my time, and I'm seeing a lot of stuff in my time that's like, oh, this is crazy.
So we do believe in aliens. We do believe in extraterrestrials. All right. We admitted that our lives are unmanageable and that we're powerless over our disease. What does that mean to you? No, Elyse. Jamal's going to answer it. We admitted we were powerless over our disease and that our lives had become unmanageable. No rush. Think about it.
I am having a brain fart right now.
Did you think your life was unmanageable before you came into this room? Before you came into recovery?
Actually, some ways yes, and some ways no. Like I didn't realize like how much I knew that I was struggling, but like I didn't know like how much, like how much my life had been unmanageable because of those things.
I'm right there with you. Like I've shared exactly that same answer. Like until I got clean, I didn't realize how, not your words, I'm not assuming that, but how fucked up I was.
Right.
I didn't know how fucked up I was until my head was clear enough to recognize and look back in my mirror, like rearview mirror, like you were fucked up, Tim.
You kind of want to like cringe or like smack yourself in the face.
But Jamal brought up too, like my past. Hey, I don't erase it. I don't want to. I don't want. Sure, there's things I just don't want to ever think about again. I really don't. But
Right.
it's not who I am today, but it also made me who I am today.
Facts.
Like
Right.
I don't have to live in fear of my past. I don't want to forget about my past. But I also learned a lot from my past.
Right.
So the manageable, like I said, there's no wrong or right answer to this shit. There's not. It's your answer, brain fart or not. Like you hit the nail on the head. And you said something about it. Like, yeah, a lot of our shit wasn't unmanageable. If you make it to these rooms, there was some form of you not having everything unmanageable. You made it to this room. Like if you were 100% unmanageable, you wouldn't have been able to find your way here. Best decision my fucked up brain made was to find these rooms. And that was a fucked up brain.
No matter how you got there.
You got there.
Yeah.
No, for me, like, it was hella unmanageable because I knew everything I was doing was going against everything that I should be doing. I knew what was right. I knew what was wrong. I knew that if I did this is what could happen, and it all did come to fruition. So that tells me that my fucking life is hella unmanageable because I'm trying to manage a motherfucking
Some shit you already know is not right.
like that. No, it ain't gonna happen or work. Now, it's that weird. Like, you gotta surrender control to get control.
I know that's a heavy one. That's heavy.
And it's like, it works.
That is heavy. Think about what you said. I have to surrender control to get control. That's like I gotta feel to this. You guys are dropping some heat bombs on us tonight, some rocks. So
If you don't heal, you don't feel. Is that what you're trying to say?
yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
for real. It's like, all this pain and trauma and shit that I've had and this, that, and other. It's like, the only way I got over it is to go through it. Walk through it. You got to go all the way back to the beginning and tiptoe your ass
But
right
like
through it.
what you're saying, like really, like that's some 4-step shit. It really is. Like any way you want to break it down is to get over some of your fears, resentments, all that shit is one form or another. You got to revisit. You got to go through it. Or for me, not you. I don't mean to say you guys. I'm learning about the my statements still 6 years later. I have to go through that shit to get through it. Like, it's just what it is. So, Jamal, like you did share about unmanageability, powerlessness.
My biggest powerlessness is still people. Relationships. I'm no bueno. When it comes to, like sexual relationships, sure, I'm fucking rock star. But when it comes to like trying to build a fucking life with somebody else, and I'm trying to build my life for myself, it's like it's unmanageable, and I am powerless over.
Is there some form of control?
Yes, there is for control. There is a few concepts here. There's abstinence, complete and utter abstinence, which is a healthy decision. Or there is this form of controlled sexual relations. So these days, I keep it real, keep it simple, honest and open, and have a conversation. This is what it is, and this is what it ain't. And just being real and not being in the dark and trying to motherfucking hurt somebody. I've hurt so many fucking men and women along this fucking journey that I just don't want to hurt nobody no more. And I definitely don't want to be hurt. And I am very, I'm very quick to just give it
But now
off.
here's
So
a
I
statement
tried
someone said with exactly what you're saying is, you don't want to hurt nobody no more, and you don't want to be hurt no more. So does nowadays, and this goes hand in hand with people sharing, like, now that I'm in recovery, it wrecked my drinking, it wrecked my using. It's kind of the same thing. Like, if you hurt somebody, you feel hurt. If today I'm saying where you're at mindset, like what you're sharing with me, it sounds like that. Like, if you hurt her feelings off of some of your ego shit later tonight, like, would that hurt you?
It debilitates me. I mean, my ninja guru recovery man, my cousin Joel, can attest to the many conversations I have about, the struggles that I go through when it comes to like what people's intentions are when it comes to me. Why do I get attention? I don't, it's like I said, I'm 40 years old, and it's like, I've just started looking at myself as looking like, I'm a good-looking individual, and it's like, that was just only 3 years.
That wasn't something you always thought.
No, it's like, so it's like, I'm very emotional. I'm
What's some
very
shit you've been
I'm
bearing
very
for 38
damaged.
years?
I'm still carry a lot of pain through that, but it's not suffering. I still talk about it. I still go through it. I still cry over it. I still, express it. And it's like, I still put myself out there. I'm dating, and that I never did that because I was a caveman. Like, you look good. Hey, we had sex. Now we're in a relationship. Now it's like, can we talk? Can we, get to know each other a little bit, and you get to know me, or
Can we
can
do
you just
something
be
else other than
real
fuck?
and just say this is what it is and this is what it ain't, people? So but being cautious, I've hurt some people along the way still, and still did some things that are
One of the
not.
biggest assets that I've ever acquired in this program is to be honest, and that goes with the
Honesty
relationship. Like, and that one word will be this. Like, I have a conversation with someone I'm attracted to. I'll have a conversation with them and be honest about it. Not just that I'm attracted to him, but everything. And that's something that, is foreign from the old life. Like, you didn't get vulnerable and honest with someone that you wanted to hit the sheets with. You know what I'm saying? I think you said it in another form, but today I'm in a relationship I say based out of honesty. It's not that. It's just the first time in my life I've been in a relationship where everything's out in the open. And I want it that way.
Yeah.
Like, do you know how freeing that is? To be in a relationship. I'm talking about with a friend too. Like, I'm not on some trying to get over on a friend anymore. Like, really being a friend. Like, being open and honest. And some concepts I didn't get that in the first 3-4 years here. Took a minute. We were out there running and gunning for 20 plus years. Do you think you're gonna get fixed in 5?
No.
Like, some old addict told me that shit when I was in there boo-hooing, like, man, I've been doing this since like 2 years, and I'm still. He's like, Tim, loud ass Dave. How do you think in 20 plus years of using, you're gonna be fixed in 2? I was like, shit. That was some of the heaviest shit someone said. I'm like, so I got 20. He's like, no, but don't beat yourself up because you don't got it in 2 years. Like, that man, NA has this thing called Just for Today. And there's one every year it pops up. It's called Don't Shoot the Messenger. And every time I hear it, I think of Dave. It talks about the same thing when John B's on the show and talks about, like, your God with skin on it. Your God with skin on it. I might hear what I need to hear from you because I got to listen. God might be speaking through you. He might be telling me something that if I'm not listening, I'll never hear it. It might not save my life or give me the ability to help someone save their life. But because I don't like Dave's loud ass, because I just assume he's loud and irritating or just grumpy and pissed off, I'm not going to hear something that could save my life. And it's not that I think he's grumpy or he pissed me off. It's just he rubbed me the wrong way for the first 2 years because he's loud and I'm supposed to be the loud one. Whatever the case was. But it was after that, and it was like literally a week later, he said some shit that helped me grow more than I ever grew in recovery. And it was on some shit like that. Jamal, do you think with being open about your sexuality had anything to do with your continued use and the lack thereof? Being open about
open about me and myself and everything that we have inside of us.
You brought that up earlier.
For real, like that was like just like a missing piece of the link of actually just being comfortable with myself, and opening and talking about it is like, that's what it's about. Like, it was a big shameful thing that like I allowed it to be a shameful thing.
Right. That's growth. Like you just said, you allowed it.
And the only way to get out that is like if you look at your shame as in a dingy, moldy basement, and for me, it's in the center of my chest. It's like right above my sternum because there's so much pressure there that I can feel it, and it's just coupled with like it's a dark, dingy cellar. There's no windows. There's no airflow. But you know what? If I go down there with some cleaning supplies, install a window and open door, get a little cross breeze, put some flowers in there, some plants, it starts getting better, right? So it's like we got to open up and talk about this fucking debilitating fucking shame. And one of the things that I don't love, it's like language. It's like this language, It's like people are like, oh, I have this guilt and shame, like about like this stuff. Like, no, it's shame, people, because guilt is just something that you think and feel, and then you take an action step to change. Right, that's me being guilty about something, and then I make sure that it doesn't happen again. And if it does happen again, I can check into that 10th step if we work in a program, right? And promptly and when we're wrong, and make amends to the people, right? Getting it out there. But if I'm not right, and I'm allowing the shame to be coupled and debilitate me, then I want to go use and shame and that substance use disorder that I got all live in that moldy ass basement. Dungy ass dingy.
You hit it. You may sometimes confuse shame with guilt, a related but different emotion. Guilt is a feeling when you did something wrong, perceived you did something wrong. Shame is a feeling that your whole self is wrong, and it may not be related to a specific behavior or event. But then again, yeah, they got whole things about shame versus guilt.
Yeah. Look it up.
So, Elyse, what do relationships look like for you today?
They are better, actually. I am building a relationship better with my parents, which, like, whenever you're talking about, thinking about people, not, sorry, I can't remember what your words were, but just thinking about how, like, there are some people who don't, like, have, there was a time in my life where I didn't think that I was going to have those relationships. But I also realized too that I had so many resentments that I was not allowing them in to show me that they wanted to have a relationship with me. And that was something that I've had to learn how to do, is being able to allow other people to show me that they're trying to do that. If you were to ask me years ago what my biggest fear was, it was other people. Other people was really, it was like one of my biggest fears, like just any type. And I don't know, it's just relationships are still hard.
It's still a work in progress, you're saying.
It's
But you're way further than you were a couple years ago.
Yeah, I still make mistakes, I still, I'm not always, the greatest friend, or I might, share opinions and no one even asked me to, and like hurt other people's feelings. And the one thing that I'm not.
It was never your intention to.
Yeah, and it was, it was never my intention to, but I can't justify that, and just be all like, whatever, because if I'm in the wrong, like I'm in the wrong, and I have to own that and do what I can to not resort back to old habits. Because naturally, if I knew that I was in the wrong, I would either justify it, I would make it a lot worse, or I would just exit the situation and just go ghost and just, totally just drop whatever. And one thing that I'm doing now is I am feeling those emotions and taking ownership and trying to learn from that, but also not, I guess I wouldn't say fuck it up more, because I know that I'm going to make mistakes regardless, because I'm a human being, but I'm trying to learn from those and try to do better.
So, like, I don't know either of you that well, but I've seen you guys since you guys both come into the program, or at least around here will work, whatever. But I'm going to look at both of you and tell you both, like, every now and again I'll say this after some shows near the end, but like I've heard both of you guys sharing. and recognizing some shit that a lot of people with 10, 15 years don't recognize. You're talking about fucking up and recognizing it. Like you're talking about some shit, some growth that you may have known about, but you're doing something about it today. People don't do that. People with 10, 20 years that just read the shit off the walls or know some good talk. But you guys are doing something about it. Like, don't forget about your accomplishments. Don't. It's easy to fucking look at the future and know where we want to be and how far and what we want to do. Don't forget the growth you've got. But don't stand on that shit. Like, you still do got to work. Mm-hmm. Tim don't give you the pass. I'm not that special. My ego says I am, but just don't forget about the growth and, like, your accomplishments. You get to hold your head high knowing you're putting work in and doing some shit for the recovery community. Like, Bridge, thank you. She said she's been checking it all day on the show. Thank you, Bridge. Guilt is I made a mistake. Shame is I am a mistake. Mm-hmm. So, you know, fucking we ain't on no time schedule. Elyse, is there anything you want to bring up and share about and talk about before we start wrapping up? You're like, why don't you ask Jermale first again? You're always asking me the questions first. Jermale, is there anything you want to bring up or get off your chest or share about that we didn't bring up that you wanted to talk about tonight?
I was going to say, just mention on, you know, accomplishments. I'm proud of Phoenix NA, but I'm super proud of the events committee. You know,
Joel, good job.
It's a lot, but just the events committee.
Speaking of that, I got to ask you something about last week. Why'd you put an angry face on there?
Oh,
that was you.
Yeah, that was me.
Is that because he didn't drop the thank you on you guys?
No, it wasn't to me. Principal.
No, you did.
Principles before personality. I'll leave it at that. It was just a little rough. You know, it was a little rough.
I didn't think about that till like 1 minute ago, and I didn't bring it up during the show, but I have all the info. Yeah. We had like 30 hearts. We had like 40 smiley faces, one mad face.
Yeah.
And then if you scroll over, it drops everyone's name. I'm like, damn, anonymity. Oh, Jermale.
Yeah.
And it was like literally a minute later, Joe was like, oh, my cousin. He's the one.
No, it wasn't that. It was just like, you know, some things were said and done that felt a little insulting. And that's my cousin, and I love my family, and I'm very protective and...
oh, did I say something?
No.
Oh,
no.
I really
Principles
whatever.
before personalities.
There we go.
Yeah, that's what it is. I was just gonna say that, you know, as far as these event stuff go, I am proud of our events committee because guess what? We did all of this without a budget, people, and so it is possible to, you know, just. It's possible to switch over to that mindset of like, I'm still getting it, but I can get it in a better way to help somebody. You know what I mean?
And
do
you guys
things
did.
and just collaborate on that, you know?
You know what?
Yeah.
Are you looking back on the like I said, accomplishments. Like, don't forget what you've done. And I'm glad you pointed that out because there was some blowback when... not blowback's not the right word. There were some people that didn't want to see Phoenix succeed.
I'll tell you like this. It was said in somewhere around these walls that it's like what's been going on with the Phoenix events is like some shady drug deal happened in the corner and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, thought about it. I got mad about it. But I thought like, you know what? Fuck, thank you. Because guess what? I don't know who else in the history of 2218 that sat there and just said, hey, can we have a conversation to see if that we can rent out this room and we'll just give for the rent. We'll give you half of what we pull in, and then we'll put the other half towards the rent of the meeting. And that is sticks within the 6th tradition as well as looks into our primary purpose. Right?
100%. You guys did it.
And I'm like,
you guys did it by the book.
Hey, if I did it how it's supposed to be done, and anybody else wants to be in their feelings about it, I say it like this. I'll keep it 100. Fuck what you mean, dude. I'm still motherfucking gonna keep doing it, and if you don't like it, motherfucking don't worry about it.
Right.
Because it's not about you, it's about the newcomer, baby. So with that, I say I'll still love you, and I'll give you a hug at the end of the night.
What's that called? Some hater raid. That's all. Someone,
I'd drink it up.
hey, that's what it is, and people do that. Mm-hmm. And you know what?
But they can't kill.
No.
They can't kill. They can't kill
It's like this.
something that
When they're going out of their way to, let's say, put down or try to knock something that you're doing, you know where it's at in your heart. It's like the hate. The one guy who says, "I love it when people hate on me." My name is in their mouth. I'm not. My name's not in their mouth. They're spending their day talking about me.
I got a better one for you. I love hearing rumors because then I find out more about me than I never know. Like, thank you. Keep talking about me because at the end of the day, I keep showing up, and that's what it is. Everybody just keep showing up. Keep showing up. There is no model addict. You know, there's no one that's gonna sit here and say, "Hey, this is the way, people."
That's like an oxymoron.
This is the way. You know, it's like it's just the truth. Like I look at people like, okay, damn, you're sober, so that's cool. You're in recovery.
That's
cool.
what matters here.
But and it's not what I would do. But
Gopher State Roundup. Number XLVIII, May 26, 27, 28, 2023. Activities and accommodations at the Doubletree by the Hilton. Highway 100 and 494 in Bloomington. This is May 26. Registration is $30. If you don't have the money, show up. Someone will pay for you, or otherwise you can do a little service work. They won't turn you away. So show up.
They'll actually just write you down and let you in.
That's what they do. It's the Super Bowl of recovery, people. You got to check it out at least once in your life. CMA is back in the house, you guys. Mm-hmm. Like I said, the club is working with meetings. The club is doing what they can to welcome everyone and fill this place up. Mathematics, CMA is Sunday night, 6 p.m. here at the club. We got Al-Anon back in the house. There's not many Al-Anon meetings in the Minneapolis area, the Twin Cities, the metro area. This is Thursdays at 7 o'clock in room 23. Come check it out. Al-Anon. Come check it out. Like, Al-Anon's here. Adult Children of Alcoholics has come to 2218 First Avenue South. This is on Wednesday nights in room 23. It'll be a big book study, but as you can see, like what I'm talking about, this club is doing everything it can to be welcoming and to accommodate. We've got Friends of Dorothy. That's Friday nights at 8 p.m. It's LBGQT plus. And maybe you guys can explain. I've got 5 to 7 members from that meeting coming in on the 9th of next month. Sensory friendly. Do you know what that means? Mm-hmm. Well, come on.
Well, you know, it's like if you look at like I got a son that's got autism, right? So I've have checked into a lot of sensory issues. So like, you know, when people just up in here clapping, making all this noise, like that might be debilitating to some people. What I love about that meeting is that they don't do claps. They do snaps, baby.
That's what they were doing when I walked in.
You know, it's about bringing down, like, we also come in here with a lot of fucking pent-up energy. Mm-hmm. You know, so it's like about just, you know, they also like, you know, like, they got like,
it's different for everyone.
Yeah, it's different for everybody. Like, you know, like some
but they're
people
aware.
like,
they're aware of it.
aware
That's
of
what it means.
Yeah.
Sensory friendly.
Yeah.
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 Like, you know, bring like earplugs or something if you're like noise sensitive or like touch sensitive.
Bring a silky, you know, like or a weighted blanket or something.
When I started sharing about that meeting, I felt real brand new. I don't know how else to say it. I didn't understand, and so I went right to the meeting. It was like, can I get whoever to come on the show? Because first of all, I don't want to misrepresent it. And secondly, I want to make sure everyone out there, and I'll say it the same, if you know anyone who's going to meetings that say they don't feel comfortable at that meeting for whatever reason, come check this out. Come check out 2218. You've just heard me share about 5-6 different fellowships, not to mention the everyday noon AA meeting, the everyday AA meetings here all night, and we have everyday NA here at 2218. That's 8 fellowships. There's not many other clubs anywhere in the world that do this. There isn't. And this is the world's longest running Alano. Like, this place is doing it. First, go ahead.
I was going to say real quick, too, because you mentioned, like, you know, the support that this club is giving out and trying to, you know.
Trying.
I say trying because it's difficult with these steps and traditions and finding the right balance. But it can happen, people. And you know what? For me, they can't say this in this meeting, that in the meeting, but I am a pledging member for a reason, because it's important, not just to me and my recovery, but to this club and keeping it open, as well as supporting
Thank
it,
you. Yes.
showing the support. Why the fuck would you not want to support something that you go to constantly, regardless of what fucking meeting you go to? And why you want to sit here and say, oh, we can't say this in this meeting and we can't say that? Hey, pledge.
Pledge.
It benefits. It helps it helps yourself.
Yes.
It benefits yourself. If nobody else, it benefits me, because it keeps me on. Hey, I check into it. I want to make sure that I have this. It's
And you're part of it. You have a
constant,
voice.
and I have a voice, and I have I sit on the. I didn't leave doing events, people. I still sit on the under the board as a vice president of the events squad council. Sorry.
Yes.
We meet Tuesdays at 6:00. Second Tuesday.
I've kind of fallen away from that. I'm sorry, you guys, but yeah, every week up until like 2 months ago, I was talking about, like, come down, be a member, make yourself. There's benefits to becoming a member at this club, and they lowered it. It's $15, $15, and there are benefits that come with it. Come to the club, become a volunteer. You walk in, the majority of the time you're going to see a friendly face welcoming you here, has some information for you if you need. I had Scott and I had Missy, and I got a few more people coming on that are volunteers. But matter of fact, not next week, but the week after, I've got Jen, Darren, and Brendan coming on. And Jen, she does all the flowers here just on her own time. It's like, come be part of this club. This club needs you. Fuck it. I'm not going to bullshit. The club needs you. And yeah, that's what mainly keeps these doors open and pays for things, is membership dues or fees or whatever you want to call it. So yes, come be part of this club. And if you're struggling, we talked about some serious stuff tonight. We talked about some heavy stuff tonight. So if you are struggling, or if you're thinking about some harmful thoughts, or whatever the case may be, please reach out. You've heard us sharing about some stuff. You've heard us sharing about some solutions, what we do, how we find some different ways of living. But I have had this hotline up the whole show. Some suicide stuff got brought up. Just please utilize these numbers. Reach out to me. Everything can be kept anonymous. Don't worry about it. Just please reach out. You're worth the fight. No one told you that today. Let me be the one. I love you. You're loved.
You are valuable. You are important. You are worthy, and you are loved.
See? So this is the other part of the show, my favorite part. And I won't even start with you. Jamal, what are you grateful for in life today?
I'm grateful for that breath every morning. I'm grateful that I can wake up and be sober. I'm grateful that I can go through loss and be sober. I'm grateful that I have my mother and father, and I'm grateful that I have my brother and my family close. I'm grateful that I'm working this life towards getting my kids back, and I can talk about that and say that I'm grateful that I am right there. I can see it, and I'm grateful that when that time does come, that I will be able to give it to my children to make that opportunity choice to reach out. And I'm grateful for God giving me the patience and the courage to actually have that fucking thought and feeling like it's not my choice, it's theirs, And I'm just grateful for all these meetings and this club and this. I'm grateful for Elyse too, because she's helped me a few times in more than she knows. So
Thank you, Jamal. Elyse, what are you grateful for?
I'm grateful for a lot of things. It took me a while to actually say that I am grateful for the experiences, all the experiences that I've had. Like when you were talking about how it made you who you are, like that's where I'm at right now, and I'm grateful for the job that I have. Even though it's a slow process, like I am moving forward to eventually like getting my own place, and I've never lived on by myself before. And I am grateful for my relationship with I have a better relationship with my stepmom now. I actually sent her flowers for Mother's Day, and like that is not something that I would have done like a long time, forever ago. And I'm grateful for you guys. I am grateful for recovery and second chances and new beginnings and all that, mushy shit.
It's that mushy shit that
Oh,
keeps
that
me
mushy
coming
shit,
back.
yep.
All right, well, again, you guys, I love you, and I appreciate everyone checking in. Bridge and Joel and Jay and Tom and Pete and Laura and Zena, and you know what? I'm sorry, I'm gonna be missing Terry, Frankie. If I miss you, it's not personal. It's because I only have the one screen up, and then just know I love you. I'm grateful for you. Next week we do have our Rick and Jesse show. It is the 5th month, so we're on step 5 this month. We admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs, and don't miss the Rick and Jesse show. That's next week. Till then, we love you. Again, if you're struggling, just please reach out. You're fucking worth the fight. Love you.
Love ya.
Love ya.